Saturday the 13th of August. Unfortunately it's another foggy day again today, so I've decided to continue along the A9. I'm going to a small hamlet called Whaligoe and then see if it's going to clear up then, because it seems a bit pointless to be going along the coastline because I won't be able to see much today, so I may as well get some distance in and try and get to the next village. Just arrived at Whaligoe, but the fog isn't lifting yet, so I think I'm going to continue along the A road to Libster, which is about 5 miles away, and then I'm going to have a nice long break for about a couple of hours, and then hopefully then the fog will be lifting. I'll continue along the coastal path and hopefully get some nice coastal views. Just approaching Libster. So this is a village, got some shops and there's a cafe as well. So I'm going to stop at the cafe now and have a couple of large coffees and just spend a bit of time here. The fog's starting to lift now, so I think another hour or two then it should be getting quite nice. So I'm just going to have a little wander around Libster. I think there's a harbour here which is quite picturesque. Just stopped at the village cafe for a nice mug of coffee. It's just £2 here, and then we're going to have a refill and then pop down and have a look at Libster Harbour. Just heading down to the harbour to have a quick look. I was talking to someone in the cafe. They noticed the rucksack and said, "Are you walking far?" And I said, "I'm doing the Land's End to Girnigoe," and I was about to do the coastal walk to Whaligoe, and they said, "Oh, it's a bit of a dodgy walk." That they said it's a very precarious walk because it's very close to the cliff edge, and also it's very overgrown. At some points you have to go through farmers' fields and so on. So I might have a go at it. If not, I might just continue along the A road for a little bit longer if it is a bit too overgrown. But I've got to try and look for a camping spot along the coast tonight. So there's a lighthouse, I think it's Cliff Ness Lighthouse, and there's a road down to there from the A9, so I might try going that way, and then after the lighthouse look for a camping spot. So I'll see what it's like when I leave the harbour. Just arrived at Libster Harbour. I'm about a couple of miles north of Libster now. I'm back on the Girnigoe way. This stretch of footpath doesn't seem too bad. It's very easy going along here. I'm about a mile or so away from the lighthouse, and when I get past the lighthouse I think I might start looking for somewhere to camp, because I'm going to Wick tomorrow. I'm staying in a hotel, and I think once I'm past the lighthouse it's only about a 15-mile walk, so I've got plenty of time to get to Wick tomorrow. Very impressive cave just down there. I'm hoping if the weather improves to see some more sea arches and stacks on the way to Girnigoe. So I think there's quite a few after Whaligoe. I've just arrived at Cliff Ness Lighthouse. This is about halfway between Libster and Whaligoe. And Whaligoe is quite well known for its harbour and the Whaligoe Steps, which go down to the harbour, and they were used quite a lot during the herring industry during the 18th and 19th century. So they're a very popular tourist attraction now, so I'm looking forward to visiting that tomorrow morning. I think I'm about a couple of miles from Whaligoe. Unfortunately there's no internet access here, and there's no more markers for the footpath, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be in this field or over there by the cliff edge. So I think I'm going to go up to the road now, because there is a forest just north of Whaligoe, and I thought about camping there when I was planning my route. So there's no Wi-Fi signal here, and I do like to have the internet on in the evening, so I'm just going to head up to the road and then start heading up to the forest. I've just come up the field back onto the A9, which is quite close to the coastal walk. This is the road up to the forest, and on the way there's a prehistoric site. It's a Bronze Age stone rose site, so I'm just going to have a look at that. From what I've read on Wikipedia, it's several rows of standing stones, so just under a metre high, and these date back to the Bronze Age, so I'm hoping there's an information board up there. I've just arrived at the Hill of Many Stones, or the Hill of Many Stains as they call it here, and these are stones that were put in during the Bronze Age about 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. So on the Hill of Many Stains there are at least 200 flagstone slabs in a fan shape of 22 rows, and this is the largest such monument in the UK. Just arrived up at the forest. Unfortunately there's no Wi-Fi signal here either, and there's millions of flies, but that's not a problem. I'm just going to get inside the tent now and just listen to the radio. So tomorrow morning I'm heading down to Whaligoe. I'd like to have a look at the Whaligoe harbour and the Whaligoe Steps. Then I'll be continuing along the coastal path to Wick, where I'll be staying in a hotel. So until tomorrow morning, good night. Sunday the 14th of August. This morning I'm heading back down to the coast and to Whaligoe, and from there I'll be continuing up to Wick. I've just arrived at the Whaligoe Steps. Now unfortunately there's no information boards here about the history of the steps, and there's no Wi-Fi access here either. But what I do remember, what I've read about the Whaligoe Steps, I think this is a natural harbour, and in the 18th and 19th centuries the biggest industry here was the herring fishing industry. I think virtually everyone along the coast was employed fishing for herring. So the men would go out fishing for the herring, they would bring them back to here, and I think there's another harbour further up the coast which I like to visit, and the women would gut the fish, and then they would put them in salt where they would be sent around the country, or some fish they would keep fresh, and then the women would carry them up these steps and they would take them to Wick. They would walk to Wick and sell the fish. So incredibly hard work. These are really hardy people, because they would have had to do this in all weathers. So I'm just going to go down now. I think there's about 300, they think there's about 330 steps, because it has changed over the centuries, because they have to be constantly maintained. I'm just going down to the harbour now. I've just arrived down at the bottom of the harbour. So this is where the fish would have been taken off the boats, and they would have carried it up here. And there's a flat area just up the steps. I think they call it the bink, and that's where all the processing would have been carried out. This is the building where they stored the salt for putting the fish in. So unfortunately it's another foggy day, so I'm not going to get much spectacular footage of the sea views today. I think I might try continuing along the John O'Groats way, but if it's too overgrown and wet, then I may as well just stick to the A road for today and keep my boots dry. No, there's absolutely no sea views today, and I was getting really wet trying to walk along the path because it's very wet and overgrown. And also there's thunderstorms coming into Scotland this afternoon, so I'm just going to carry on to Wick now, get to Wick and have a look around the town. Just arrived in Wick. I'm just popping down to the harbour to have a walk around. Just heading up to the pedestrianised main street. Time to check into my hotel. So tomorrow morning I'm walking to, I think it's pronounced Keis or Keith, it's a small village on the way to John O'Groats. I'll be staying in a hotel then, and then on Tuesday it's my final day on the Lejog walk. So I'm hoping it will be a nice sunny day tomorrow. I can get some nice views along the coast. So until tomorrow morning, good night. Monday the 15th of August. This morning I'm walking around Sinclair's Bay towards the village of Keis. This is Wick Harbour. At one point in its history this was the most important herring fishing port in the world. There's a cannon here, so a very interesting cannon, and this is called the fog cannon. So I guess they used this on really foggy days like today, so the fishermen knew where to head after they finished the day's fishing. So I'm just about to go over to the supermarket. I don't think there's any shops in Keis, so I best get all the food I need now for here, between here and John O'Groats. And after I've been to the shop, I'm heading out onto the coast again. I'm heading towards Lighthouse. I think it's Nos Head Lighthouse, so that's my first destination today. I've just arrived at Nos Head Lighthouse. So Nos Head Lighthouse was first put into service in 1849. It's 18 metres high, and it's the first lighthouse that has diagonally panelled glass on the lantern room, and that was considered to be a better design. One of the engineers involved with the construction of the lighthouse was called Alan Stevenson, and he was the uncle of the author Robert Louis Stevenson. There's an old ruined castle very close by to the lighthouse called Castle Sinclair Girnigoe, so I'm just going to go over there now to have a look. Just arrived at the ruins of Castle Sinclair Girnigoe. So the ruins are actually two castles. There was Castle Girnigoe, which was built in the 15th century, and then it was extended when they built Castle Sinclair next to it in the early 17th century. So time to continue along the coast. There's a castle called Whaligoe Tower a couple of miles further along the coast, so I'm gonna go over there now to have a wander around. Clearing up a bit now. I'm just approaching Sinclair's Bay. The Sinclair's Bay, it's a long beach and you can walk along it towards Keys, but unfortunately there's a river in the middle, and at high tide you can't really cross it, or you could try, but I think it'd be a bit dicey. And high tide is in about 40 minutes time, so I think when I leave Whaligoe Tower I'll probably just go back on the A road towards Keys. A World War II pillbox. Just approaching Whaligoe. I think it's pronounced that way. I have as much problem with Scottish town names as I do with French town names. I can just see the castle just over in the distance now. This is the very impressive Whaligoe Tower. It dates back to the early 16th century. It used to be the seat of the Keith clan, and in later years it became a hotel. And I think now it's owned by an American billionaire. So I'm heading towards Sinclair Bay now. So in a minute I leave the coast and I head inland back to the A road, going up to John O'Groats. It's high tide now, and it's the River of Wester, I think it goes right through the beach, just about a mile over there, and it's high tide now. It'd be very difficult to cross, so it's back to the A road. I've just arrived in the very small village of Keys, and just in time too, because the rain clouds are coming in now, and I know there's a big downpour predicted for tonight, so got here just in time. So I'm just going to look for my hotel now, and then tomorrow it's my last walk to John O'Groats. So until tomorrow, good night. Tuesday the 16th of August. Today it's a 14-mile walk along the coast to John O'Groats. This picturesque old ruin I'm just approaching is Keys Old Castle, and this was built around the late 16th or early 17th century. But since then there's a new castle that was built around 1755. I've just arrived at Nibster Brock. So like the Brocks I visited in my earlier video, this is a building which dates back to the Iron Age, about 2,000 years ago. And there's the remains of a lot of outbuildings here. Archaeologists believe that these could date back to around 500 BC. So very old buildings here. So this was a tower-like building where it's believed that the chieftain of the tribe, the local tribe, would have lived. And how they designed it, they put this big wide base of dry stone as foundation, and then on top they actually built two concentric walls. So they had the outer wall and then a space and then an inner wall. And I guess they did that to keep it sort of warm and dry inside. And also, if they had a fire inside, they could have used the gap in between the two walls to let the smoke out. This monument just here, I don't know very much about it. I think the archaeologist who was working here about 100 years ago built this. So time to continue my walk along the coast to John O'Groats. Wow, that's quite an impressive arch down there. I'm just heading towards another old ruin. I think it's pronounced Bucholly Castle. These are the ruins of a castle which dates back to the 13th century, and it was abandoned in the 17th century. Approaching Freswick Bay, just over there in the distance, and I know there's a detour on the other side of the bay because the shore there's a lot of erosion going on now, so you have to go onto the road. But I've just arrived at a track which goes up to the road to John O'Groats, so I think the best thing anyway is just to get onto the road, go up to John O'Groats, and then while I'm waiting for the bus I can walk along the coast just to the east of John O'Groats. I'm just approaching John O'Groats now. I think when I get there I'm just going to sit in a cafe for about an hour. It's really cold and wet up here now, so I'm just going to sit there, I might call it a day, and just head to the harbour and then get the first bus to Thurso in a nice warm hotel room. But I'm hoping that it might clear up this afternoon, so should be at the harbour in about half an hour. Well, it's just taken over 3 months to get up here, but here I finally am at the famous signpost. So I'm just going to have a little wander around Girnigoe now and then catch the bus back to Thurso. So that was a very interesting walk across the UK, but now it's time to go home and plan my next journey. So thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope to upload another one soon. Bye!